In a time like this, we all need hope. Tonight, it's coming from the doctors and nurses fighting COVID-19 every shift. This is what their days are like.
The whole unit is full of COVID patients, all on ventilators.
We're getting very busy now during this second wave.
Sad, it's miserable to watch.
Tonight, inside intensive care, the battleground where lives are saved and lives are lost.
My name is David Pilcher. I am a doctor at the Alfred Hospital in Melbourne.
In every war, there are heroes.
No one gets better quick. Once you're on a ventilator, you're generally on a ventilator for a couple of weeks. And then we've got the worst group who go on a ventilator and nothing seems to work. And then they get secondary infections. The consequence to the body of lying flat in a bed 24/7, sedated to make you tolerate the machines. Then you get secondary infections with bacteria you've already got in your own body. You get your kidneys start to fail, your heart starts to fail.
Among those heroes at Sunshine Hospital, Dr. John Mulder and his team.
It's been rewarding. We've had patients who have been very sick and have gotten through. It's also been very emotionally draining when we've had patients who've been here for weeks who have died. And not talking about old patients either, or people who were very sick beforehand.
Dr. Mulder's Deputy Director of Intensive Care at Western Health.
And what we see is their breathing rate gets faster, their oxygen rates get lower. We look at the picture of their x-rays and the x-rays start to fill up with an inflammatory material which worsens their breathing.
This senior physician doesn't mince his words.
To go on a mechanical ventilator and be sick for weeks in the intensive care takes a huge physical and emotional toll for a patient. We have had one very young person who had a variant of COVID that affected his heart and was critically ill. The majority of our patients have been people in their 50s and 60s. We've had a few older who are generally fitter.
The first wave was barely a practice run.
For instance, in the first wave, I think we had only 6 patients. Last week we had 7 positive COVID patients here all in one go. And at one stage, every patient in this unit was COVID positive.
An extraordinary insight into an extraordinary fight, the compelling video diaries of our brave healthcare workers.
The last few weeks have been very confronting, scary, with this second wave, or first wave as it really is for us. Our patients are getting sicker, they're younger.
Emily's one of the ICU nurses at Footscray Hospital.
It's very scary that some of these patients are younger than me and my colleagues. I worry for my colleagues. We're all stressed, we're tired.
Wednesday night at the Alfred, Victoria's biggest ICU. Intensive care specialist Dr. David Pilcher is about to clock on. He's agreed to take us along.
So, this is the entrance to the COVID zone. Here you go.
An extraordinary insight into an extraordinary fight, the compelling video diaries of our brave healthcare workers.
How's things? Are you guys happy in there? Yeah. Just checking in, seeing that you guys are okay. Brent, you happy if I come in?
8 p.m. and Dr. Pilcher's about to do his handover.
We've got 5 of the sickest patients who've got COVID in the whole state. They're on a machine called ECMO. Right, so I've just come out of the COVID zone. About 15 minutes ago, we had an emergency buzzer push for one of the COVID patients who's on ECMO. It's a machine that you only use for the sickest patients who are too sick to even be supported adequately on a mechanical ventilator. Their oxygen levels were dropping, and we had to get ourselves into our PPE quickly, get in there, deal with the problem, which thankfully was quite easy to fix.
Midway through his shift, and Dr. Pilcher can finally take a moment.
3 o'clock in the morning, relatively quiet. A couple of people coming in from the emergency department, and I'm going into the tea room. All we have is individual tables with an individual seat. There's no sitting together. At least I can take my mask off for a moment. I'll have a quick cup of tea. lack of being able to sort of talk to people during the tea breaks is probably one of the harder things. For the times when there's a risk of actually transmitting infection amongst the healthcare workers is actually when people are sitting socialising.
After a long night, it's almost time to head home.
Okay, it's about 7 o'clock in the morning and the next nursing shift has come on and I'm just going for a quick check around the patients over in COVID zone.
At Western Health, COVID patients are placed inside these protective plastic hoods to stop deadly droplets being propelled into the air.
So any aerosols the patient generates when they cough or speak is maintained in the hood, and you'll see here we've got this is a pump, and here is an industrial-sized viral filter.
Medics here have hailed their invention a game changer.
But this means that the nurse can actually put their hands under here in the gown and their gloves, and the patient can be there, they can talk through there.
Amid the daily battles for life and death inside these wards, there's growing optimism.
Just those simple little things that we're seeing the numbers actually starting to go down, they really mean a big thing to us. Like, we have a sweepstake at the beginning of each day to see how many numbers there are.
Please, everyone, just do the right thing, and we'll look after you if you're sick. But if everybody's sick, we can't give you the best care that we should.
The things that people are doing outside, staying at home, keeping their distance, keeping their masks on, means that we're also free to keep ICU capacity to look after people who do get sick.
It's going to be much easier to wear one of these than end up on one of these.
Oh yeah, yeah. You end up on one of these, well, you know, you'll have a high chance of dying and not getting through. And it's not going to happen quickly either. It's not pretty.
Here's to the next night shift.
Thank goodness we've got them. Doctors and nurses are doing an incredible job. They're backed up by millions of Victorians making sacrifices to force those numbers down.